Hello friends, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Sashank Anand from RIMT University, and today in this housekeeping module, we'll be studying housekeeping but in other institutions, that is apart from hotels. So after completing this module, you will be able to understand the significance of housekeeping. You will also understand the importance of housekeeping in various institutions apart from hotels. You will learn the difference in housekeeping operations among different institutions. So let's get started. Whether it is a hotel, hospital, university or any other residential institution, the main objective of the housekeeping department is to provide a clean, comfortable and attractive environment for all its users. These services must be provided in a way that does not lead to any safety health hazards. Hygiene is also of utmost importance to control the pathogenic organisms and prevent from any potential contamination. Organizations like hotels work on commercial basis, while organizations like hostels, hospitals and residential homes primarily work to cater to social needs. However, in either case, a reasonable standard of housekeeping is required to keep the organization clean, comfortable, hygienic and welcoming. So let's get started with the significance of housekeeping. The maintenance of a clean, pleasant and orderly environment has always been an essential part of a civilized living. Housekeeping, even with the advancement in technology, is a labor-intensive activity, though less now as compared to earlier times. Housekeeping is one of the major operational departments in hotel, which is responsible for overall cleanliness, maintenance, aesthetic upkeep of guest rooms, public areas and the surroundings. The significance of the role of housekeepers in day-to-day operations is rarely fully recognized in organizations other than hotels, and the consequences of poor housekeeping are not always appreciated. Housekeepers have different duties depending on the priorities of type, size and nature of the establishment, the number of employees working, the organization policy and the number or the extent of contract services used, and the function of various other departments also has a role. The job of housekeepers can be very demanding, hectic and time consuming. Some of the generic duties and responsibilities of a housekeeping department we'll be discussing now. Let's start. Ensure a high standard of cleanliness, hygiene and overall upkeep in all the areas of an organization. Establish a welcoming atmosphere by ensuring courteous, reliable service from the housekeeping staff. Employee training and performance appraisal. Cater to the laundering requirements of the organization if laundry is a part of the housekeeping department and not outsourced. Selection of right set of contractors is important for ensuring right quality of work. Scheduling renovation and refurbishing of the property as and when needed is important. Coordination with purchase department for procurement of guest supplies is crucial. Establishment of lost and found procedure and protocol. Ensuring a safe and secure environment by efficiently training the staff on various safety and security concerns and measures to be followed. Implementation of the company policy, planning work schedules, scheduling duty rosters, setting standards and achieving goals. Next is providing staff with adequate uniforms and maintaining proper inventories. Then the overall maintenance of the building and its valuable equipments like furniture, equipment, fittings, etc. is also the responsibility of the housekeeping. To maintain all relevant records on staff, finance, equipment, material, room occupancy and special functions is also crucial. Establishment of cordial relationships between housekeeping and other departments is also the role which is important. Let's talk about the role of housekeeping in hostels. Residential accommodations for students like hostels belonging to universities, polytechnics, education centers, training centers and schools are medium to long stay establishments. The student or the head of such establishment responsible for room letting and allocation may be called a bursar, domestic bursar, resident manager, matron or a warden. Providing housekeeping services in such establishment is of a different nature than provided in a hotel. In hotels, the emphasis is on aesthetic upkeep, whereas in hostels it is more concerned with hygiene. A thought has to be given to people who are living in a hostel, as their room becomes their home for quite considerable time. A further problem is a very limited budget. Staff is generally minimum, simple work procedures are followed. Students residing in hostels are expected to keep their rooms clean and tidy. Public areas are usually cleaned daily, while rooms may be cleaned on a weekly basis. Periodic deep cleaning, repairs and maintenance work is carried out only during the vacation periods. Some duties and responsibilities of a housekeeper in hostel. Let's see how are they different. First, the property maintenance to keep it clean and hygienic. Second, reporting and scheduling maintenance work. Third, managing of staff for different tasks. Next is managing the catering requirements through cooks, undertaking budgetary controls, establishing discipline among students and the residents and ensure their well-being, providing efficient security for the residents, establish procedures for management of room keys, ensuring periodic pest control activities, undertake inventory control measures, management and control of linen if provided. That's it for the housekeeping in hostels. Now we'll be studying housekeeping in hospitals. In any hospital, hygiene and cleanliness are of particular importance to reduce the threat of cross-contamination. This makes the role of housekeeping highly organized. The function of housekeeping extends to operation theatres, laboratories, mortuaries, kitchens, dining areas, ICUs, isolation wards and the likes. The work is primarily cleaning with the objective of creating a technically clean, hygienic and aesthetically pleasant environment which will A. controls dust and germ growth, B. assists in promoting patient comfort, C. contributes in patient health care by adopting cleaning procedures which inhibit the growth of harmful microorganisms and prevents the infection from spreading, and lastly assists in maintaining the material or the fabrics of the building. The work and scope of housekeeping in hospital is so enormous that the cleaning equipment used here might be different than those used in other establishments. It is noticeable to find that the cleaning equipment might be fitted with extra number of filters. This is done to prevent dust distribution. There is also attachment of silencers to the equipment which are noisy. There is color coding of equipment for allocation to different tasks. For instance, green cloths, mops, gloves for toilet areas, pink ones for kitchen areas and so on. Let's see the method of cleaning. In hospitals, cleaning methods are quieter, faster and designed to disturb the patient as little as possible. Dusting is only carried out with damp cloths to have better control of dust. Usage of disposable mop heads or the ones that can be sterilized is crucial. Spray cleaning for floors using high-speed mechanical equipment is adopted. Extensive usage of dust control mats is done to check the dust distribution. Let's have a look at the duties and responsibilities of the domestic services manager. His duties may include conducting high degree cleanliness and hygiene, ensuring safe and secure environment, efficient pest control measures, control over cleaning contract agencies or contract staff, providing staff with clean uniforms, laundering the linen, uniforms and surgical suits of the hospital with focus on health and hygiene. For the hospital wards, patient rooms, the duties slightly differ. Room cleaning and bed making is part of the duty, keeping in mind the comfort of the patient. There is also arrangement of flowers in rooms which is provided. Care of patient clothing and personal belonging is also part of the duty. Terminal cleaning of wards once the patient has been discharged is very important. Room is totally disinfected. Room linen is washed with high temperature water. Housekeeper also ensures that a number of precautions are taken for its employees, such as all employees wear protective gear when working in high-risk areas. They need to be adequately gowned and masked wherever required. All protective gear must be treated for infections. Disposable suits can also be used. Ensure employees develop a habit of cleaning their hands frequently. It is the most important to prevent spread of infection. All cleaning gear needs to be disinfected after each usage. If equipment cannot be disinfected, it must be changed. Proper training of employees on waste disposal is necessary. Syringes, sharp articles, test tubes, etc. must be disposed properly. Duties of assistant domestic services. She primarily helps in running day-to-day operations. The assistant DSM also has some specific functions such as staff training, recruitment or responsibility of a particular unit. Duties of a domestic supervisor. Domestic supervisor is responsible for specific number of wards and has a team of domestic assistants working under him who clean those wards. The main responsibility is to provide a standardized level of cleanliness and hygiene with his or her area. Domestic supervisors are also involved with the planning and organization of tasks on those wards. Their coordination with the nursing staff is particularly important. Let's talk about the responsibility of domestic assistant. They are usually employed on part-time basis. Their job involves cleaning specific areas of the hospital, mostly the wards. Hospital wards generally consist of three main areas. Number one is sanitary area, comprises of bathrooms and toilets. Second is kitchen area, comprising of a small pantry or cooking area. And lastly, the ward area, where the patient rests or his resting area. In some cases, it is also a sitting room or a common room. The domestic staff is responsible for cleaning these three areas. They may have duties such as bed making in wards, servicing patient food and beverages, clearance and washing of food trays, arranging flowers in wardrooms, entertaining patients' needs and requests, caring for patients' clothes and personal belongings, overall cleanliness, hygiene and upkeep in the wards. Let's move on to housekeeping in residential homes. Housekeeping in residential homes. These organizations include nursing homes, old age homes, hospices, homes for mentally or physically challenged and the likes. They may be run by the local government or be privately owned. While the basic cleaning principles are same as in other residential establishments, the important thing here is the word homes, as it resembles a homely atmosphere. For most of the residents who are elderly or handicapped people or children, it is indeed their home and in many cases the only one they have or are likely to have. It is essential to create a homely atmosphere in these establishments. But since the restaurants do require care, the cleaning has to be thorough. Often there may be soiling which creates extra work and interrupts the regular flow of work, and the people doing it require a certain dedication and temperament. There should be a discipline and routine as in other establishments, but cooperation with residents is important and according to their capabilities with and guidance from the medical professionals in charge. They can be allocated certain duties such as bed making or dusting, etc. to give assistance where practicable. However, the work must be supervised and inspected so that the required standards are maintained. Let's talk about housekeeping in offices now. In offices and other buildings open to the public cleaning is continuous operation of which the occupants and the public area are usually unaware. Cleaning and services are varied and relate to the particular organization. But as a general rule, most large office blocks have a resident caretaker or house manager who has overall charge of the building for security, fire prevention, heating and ventilation, and who will either liaison with the tenants for their cleaning arrangement, supervise contracts, or organize his own staff. All the main cleaning has to be completed before offices are opened or the public are admitted, and work may be going on in the evening, overnight or early in the morning, with in most cases a small backup staff employed during the day to cope with the toilet areas, dust and debris, and for any emergency. Let's talk about the duties of an office housekeeping manager. It includes supervision of the daily cleaning and the organization, and the supervision of the periodical cleaning, supervision of contractors for windows, boilers and lifts, floral displays, specialist cleaners, recruitment and selection of cleaners within the office establishment, training, organization and welfare of all the cleaning staff, the purchase and stock control of all cleaning supplies and equipment within the budget limits, maintaining regular inspections of the building fabric, furniture, fittings, plant and equipment, and arranging routine repairs, reporting any major faults to the office administrator, liaising with tenants and users of the establishment on cleaning and housekeeping requirements. The disposal of confidential waste by shredder and incinerator, and the control and disposal of rubbish is important. Any security measures as determined by the tenants and the office administrator is to be followed. Any other duty which can be considered part of the housekeeping service is his responsibility. Let's talk about housekeeping in universities now. Large universities require housekeeping services to maintain their infrastructure. They usually employ low-cost housekeeping for this facility. The number of employees vary according to the area of university campus. However, the staff size is much smaller as compared to a hotel of a comparable size. Universities could be state-run or private-owned. In either case, housekeeping costs are kept at modest levels. The resources or funds can never be as high as in the case of hospitality industry. The housekeeping staff at the university may have duties like building maintenance and repair, which is usually under the state manager. Food and beverage is taken care by the catering manager. Cleanliness of the food and beverage outlets also come under the catering manager. All public areas, lecture halls, smart rooms and other teaching areas fall under the service manager. The accommodation manager is responsible for the cleanliness and upkeep of all staff and student accommodations. Moving on to housekeeping in non-residential institutions like museums, art galleries, libraries and archives. These establishments essentially comprise of extensive display areas, exhibition halls and workshops, archive areas for old documents or books, and large shelves which are holding books. Specific problems in these include dust control and control of ultraviolet light necessary to prevent the deterioration of exhibits, cleaning the extensive numbers of shelves, books and areas of glass. The organization and the supervision of cleaning and maintenance usually forms part of the curator's or librarian's job description. The cleaning of technical areas and exhibits is normally undertaken by curator staff and by cleaning staff under their supervision. Coming to public toilets. Public toilets are frequently subjected to heavy soiling and vandalism. Routine cleaning is undertaken by an attendant. Sports and leisure centers now. These include squash courts, gymnasium, swimming pools, restaurants, bars, indoor bowling areas, sport courts and the likes. Particular problem in these areas includes extensive usage during day and evening. They need to be maintained as per their flooring and gaming courts. High standard of hygiene is required in wet areas. Maintenance of air and water conditioning plant in these areas is a challenge. Let us understand some of the skills required by the supervisors in accommodation operations and cleaning services. It is crucial that they have an understanding of the contribution of accommodation and cleaning services to the organization in which they work, technical knowledge and skills, the nature of soil, cleaning equipment, cleaning agents, protective finishes, materials, fixtures and fittings, cleanings and servicing procedures is important. Supervisory skills, planning, organizing, controlling, leading, the ability to communicate effectively is crucial. Legal requirements like health, safety, welfare, industrial relations and their application. The ability to develop more efficient methods of work is also important. This is all that is included in this module. Let's have a look back on what all we covered. The role of housekeeping has never been as high importance until recently. Whether it is a hotel, hospital, university or any other residential institution, the main objective of the housekeeping department is to provide a clean, comfortable and attractive environment for all its users. These services must be provided in a way that does not lead to any safety or health hazards. Hygiene is also of utmost importance to control pathogenic organisms and prevent from any potential contamination. Organizations like hotels work on commercial basis, while organizations like hostels, hospitals and residential homes primarily work to cater to social needs. However, in either case, a reasonable standard of housekeeping is required to keep the organization clean, comfortable, hygienic and welcoming. The significance of the role of housekeepers in day-to-day operations is rarely fully recognized in organizations other than hotel, and the consequences of poor housekeeping are not always appreciated. Housekeepers have different duties depending on the priorities of type, size and nature of the establishment, the number of employees working, organizational policy, the number and extent of contract services used, and the function of various other departments. The job of housekeepers can be very demanding, hectic and time consuming. Residential homes for students like hostels belonging to universities, polytechnics, education centers, training centers and schools are medium to long stay establishments. The head of such establishments are responsible for room letting and allocation, who is generally called a bursar, domestic bursar, residence manager, matron or simply a warden. Providing housekeeping services in such establishments is of a different nature than the services provided in hotels. They have minimalistic staff, simple work procedures and public areas are usually cleaned regularly without the rooms being done on a daily basis. In any hospital, hygiene and cleanliness are of particular importance to reduce the threat of cross-infection. This makes the role of housekeeping highly organized. The function of housekeeping extends to operation theatres, laboratories, mortuaries, kitchens, dining areas, ICUs, isolation wards and so on. The work is primarily cleaning with the objective of creating a technically clean, hygienic and aesthetically pleasant environment. In housekeeping is essential in residential homes, which include nursing homes, old age homes, hospices, homes for mentally challenged or physically challenged and the likes. These homes are generally owned by the government or are privately owned. While the basic cleaning principles are same as in other residential establishments, the word important here is homes, as it resembles a homely atmosphere. Housekeeping for offices and other buildings which are open to public cleaning is a continuous operation of which the occupants and the public are usually unaware. Cleaning and services are varied and relate to the particular organization. But as a general rule, most large office blocks have a resident caretaker or house manager who has overall charge of the building for security, fire prevention, heating and ventilation, and who will either liaise with the tenants for their cleaning arrangement or supervise or appoint contracts to organize his own staff. All the main cleaning has to be completed before offices are opened or the public are admitted, and work may be going on in evening, overnight or early in the morning. In most cases, a small backup staff is employed during the day to cope with the toilet areas, dust and debris, and for any emergency. Some other institutions that covered in this module were art galleries, libraries, archives, public toilets, sports and leisure activity centers to keep the property neat, clean and hygienic. Thus, we sum up to say that housekeeping in other institutions is also very important. That's it for this module. Hope it was helpful. Thank you.